class in session. Honestly, I need my coffee. I'm tired. Alright. You ready for class, bud? Come here. Today's lecture, Quadrobics 101, Lecture 3, Spiritual Quadrobics, or Quadrobics as a spiritual path. You lazy. Look at all that first. Sorry if it's taking a minute to make this video, but I had to do some added research just to make sure I can cite my sources if I need to. Probably not gonna. Just gonna mention some books in the description to help with that learning. Kind of blocking my way, bud. So, we've discussed what Quadrobics is. We've discussed its importance to the more scientifically minded world. And now, we're going to discuss what it meant to people a long time ago, essentially. I'll fix that camera. Ain't I handsome? So what is this concept of spiritual quadrobics? How can an exercise program or format or method be a spiritual insight? Well, if you've ever done yoga, you know how things can lean towards one aspect of its original inception and how it cannot entirely. Quadrobics, or as I still like to call it, running around on all fours, was mostly a bit of a taboo throughout human history, at least in terms of Western civilization, because its connotations appropriately and directly correlate to witchcraft, shamanism, a sort of wilding of sorts of people. For many years, generations, longer than Western Civ has been around, shamanism, witchcraft, wizardry, whatever, has utilized the forces of, God, it sounds so fantastical when you say it like this, but utilize the forces of nature to better access the capabilities of our species, whether it be through an interaction with unconscious forces or a perceived pattern-based interaction with environmental ones. Shamanism itself is a pre-existing science to modern man that's been around in honestly countless cultures. And I'll just use shamanism as shorthand for all types of witchcraft, druidic or Vadoon, or hell, even I Ching based. It's all a form of shamanism. That was the first religion, essentially. You can at me at that if you want. That's the truth. Early Judeo Christians, they are essentially shamans. Early, I was going to say early Shintoists. Shintoism is a shamanic religion. this isn't a class about religion, it's about quadrobics. Now, where does that correlate? The best immediate example I can connect shamanism to quadrobics is the skinwalkers. Many different native cultures tell of people who would don the apparel or skin or garb of various animals or consume mind-altering substances. This is coffee. But it's a mind-altering substance, caffeine. Whether you like to admit that or not, it genuinely is one of the most efficient stimulants on the planet and has its origins in shamanic ritual. Plenty of other things do. This isn't to say you need to be on something to be running around like an animal. Pretty sure most kids don't need to be on nothing to be, walking around like their favorite animal. And if I have a fly in my coffee, I'm gonna be irritable. I'm pretty sure that's just a bean with wings. Anyway, one of the many methods of shamans throughout history of accessing the natural essence of various animals, I like to call this aminals. That's where I get the name Aminal Zoo from. Because to me, I've done a lot of research, done a lot of my own personal active imagination sessions. I've been on quite a few different psychedelic voyages with or without compounds. I'm firmly in the opinion that you don't need much to get going. It's all right here. I like the term aminal to describe essentially what multiple cultures would call, somewhat inaccurately, a spirit animal. In the Mayan pantheon, spirit animals are essentially just archetypes, and the various forms in which they take are a result of tones mixing with different archetypes, resulting in, well, all the different animals we see. Argus, come here. In the Mayan pantheon, he'd be archetype number 10. The archetype of love and loyalty. Oh. And so would, from my research, a lion. You can do your own understanding of that your own way, but the point of what I'm trying to make is various cultures across all of history have utilized our species' innate access to the larger morphogenetic field, which I'll bring up reference books for that in the description. Most of them are just Rupert Sheldrake books, but I'll try to include more just so you know he's not full of shit. Sorry. I'm trying not to cuss, dude. I swear, whatever. And through accessing aminals, a word that I'm coining because I think it more accurately represents how each animal, all throughout history, even prehistory, is like a manifest expression of various amino profiles, different genetic codes that through how they are formed morphologically allow us to understand legitimate primordial energies that coexist and ecologize, I'm coining that word too, on the planet. Now, us, as Quadrobics practitioners, as I've mentioned in previous videos, whether we're trying to or not, are channeling and accessing the various aminal energies of the morphogenetic field. Now it's starting to come together. There you go. And through utilizing that new thought form and new thought pattern present with each animal, you may start wanting to walk like or behave like or introduce the activities of into your life that can bring, and usually does, whether you're trying or not, unconscious or consciously, a form of spiritual advancement. And that's where things relate back to shamanism. 1111. So how does that work? How does one navigate and focus their intentions towards a spiritual path involving quadrobics? Well, it boils down to looking into your life, looking into your heart and mind, exploring yourself, exploring your imagination, and seeing, one, what you're lacking, what you feel like you're lacking, and what you feel called to. I think that's where a lot of people unconsciously gear themselves towards, I hope I'm saying it right, like Therian communities and Therianthropic stuff. I haven't bothered researching the literature on Therians because I know there's something associated with it with modern psychological medicine, and I'm just going to be honest with you. Modern psych doesn't know jack shit about most schizotype issues that don't completely result in catatonia and asociability. They just don't. And I'm not going to tell you how to handle yourself or what's real and what's not. I'll tell you this, the modern community of Therians are essentially an unconscious reaching back towards exactly what I've been talking about this entire video. Accessing genetic aspects of their own innate DNA and the wider DNA surplus of the entire organic, energetic lineage of life as a whole to better adjust themselves to whatever way of life they're currently living. And that's where Quadrobics as a spiritual path comes in. Using the walk cycles I've made videos for, understanding the mindset, the perspective, the strengths and weaknesses of all the various animals one might find called to or interested in or for some reason connected to throughout an entirety of an individual's life, can genuinely lead to real change, not just morphologically, not just give you some muscles, but can change your entire perspective on life in a similar way that yoga can, that tantra can, that plenty of religious systems and belief structures all do. Just my method's a little more hands-on. Majority, if not all, of my walk cycles are not the result of weeks and weeks worth of study analyzing the body movements of a single animal. Most of them are me accessing the morphogenetic field real time and teaching myself how to move in the manner I'm moving in the video. In other words, I channel most of my walks. There's plenty of walks that I've studied and plenty of aspects of quadrobics that I've spent, frankly, decades researching and getting down pat. Like, it's taken me a long time to best understand the most efficient means of running on all fours. And it's taken me a lot of time to analyze the differences in various morphologies in different clades of the animal kingdom. Most of them I just do on the spot because I know how to do what I'm doing. I know how to do what I'm saying is fairly useful for what we're doing here in this video. Doing so can allow you to connect to something higher than just a stereotype. I think that the idea of having only one or two or a couple is very limiting. Whether you like it or not, you're in the spiritual quadrobics video now. It's about time you learned the entire perspective man has held over themselves for a long time, and that's where we are the animal that is the genetic expression of the most similar to the image of the creator, unisource, utmost pure generative energy that there is, which means we're not people who are just one animal or maybe two. If you want to be, you're all of them. Like me. Creature man. But that isn't to say that having a specific animal you feel most connected to is a bad thing. If you want to call it your stereotype or stereothrope, whatever, do so. I don't care. I'm just giving you some insight. Like me, my whole life I've been connected to the wolf. Would I say I'm a wolftarian? Absolutely not. I am a man. I'm just a little more connected to things than most. And so is the rest of people. I feel connected to horses, gorillas, different birds of prey. That's where the understanding of aminal energies comes in. And what all this boils down to, thank you, buddy, I need some shade, is how does that fit in with what we're doing? Why is that important? Why is it relevant to even understand how people used to access this form of activity back in prehistory days, and even currently in quite a few different places in the world. Most places that still have ayahuasca ceremonies also in their spare time have things like what I'm talking about go on. Well, where they'll don the apparel of various different powerful animals. The jaguar himself, one of my spirit animals, pretty much, at least in the Zolkin, and debatably on the Hob calendar. Buddy, I love you. You kind of being. The jaguar himself is considered the shaman of the Mayan system. And for good reason. If it weren't for the jaguar, we wouldn't know about ayahuasca. Literally, oh, this is a side tangent, but literally, ayahuasca would have never been invented had shamans and hunters and trackers in South America not studied the root that jaguars munch on often before a hunt, the Banisterius capi root. That paired with various enzyme suppressing plants and a couple other ingredients results in one of the most powerful psychoactive substances known to man. So quite a few different shamanic cultures in South America still don the jaguar. And if you've ever seen a rain dance, majority of them are wearing feathers. Majority of cultures that are doing a rain dance have some kind of animal gear upon them. Now, does that mean you need to have some outfits to make you look like an animal? I don't think so. I think what's important is what that does to the mind, what that makes someone see themselves as. The biology of belief is core to how these effects transpire. And knowing how that shit works, knowing how that stuff functions, how it works, is part of what can lead you to make some incredible advancements doing quadrobics. And you don't have to be wearing fancy feather gear or a jaguar pelt or coyote hide or whatever. You ain't gotta have a mask on, you ain't gotta do nothing. If you've ever seen Kung Fu Panda, there is no secret ingredient. It's just you. So what does quadrobics as a spiritual path mean for doing quadrobics? Well, it means there's a whole nother layer to what quadrobics does to people, whether you know it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. You can fight it. You'll probably not make that much progress, or you'll make some more progress and show me up one. That'd be fine too, frankly. But what it means for quadrobics as a whole carries over into our next lecture, which will be, forgot what I titled it in my notes. Health and wellness from quadrobics. And I'll carry over directly to what we talked about today, because just how channeling different animals results in morphological changes, it also very genuinely results in genetic changes. Most cultures that are shamans didn't access the animals they were embodying, working with, just so they could be able to move like them. Plenty of cultures embody different species of animal for attributes of those animals that go beyond just what's behaviorally obvious. Like, you'd be surprised how good your eyesight will get if you do eagle workouts. You'll be very surprised how good your sense of smell gets if you do bear workouts. And zebras don't get ulcers. So what's a zebra workout gonna do for you? We don't know yet. That's why we're gonna talk about it next lecture. I appreciate whoever made it through the entirety of this video. My heart goes out to you, and I appreciate you. There's a lot of books I've read to get here. A lot of, God, I hope I can say their names right. That's partially why I didn't want to mention them. Mircea Eliade, whatever. Rupert Sheldrake, Michael Harner. I would say Carlos Castaneda, but frankly, I haven't read too much of him. Most of the people I've learned from read enough of them for me to know. And I ain't trying to do no peyote, so we're all right. No dissing on it, though. It's equally potent. anything else you can find. Because it's not about the drugs, it's not about the psychedelics, it's what they show you you are capable of doing or seeing. In my opinion, things work best when you just go Acapulco style. Just raw dog it. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter. If you like what I'm having to say, like and subscribe. Share this video if you can on whatever quadrobic communities you're a part of. I'd love to have more people taking this activity more seriously than just making YouTube or TikTok, for God's sakes, edits and doing silly stuff. No offense to everybody, you gotta make a dollar, you gotta do what you want to do, but I see too many people wanting to be an animal without trying to help them. All of my Quadrobics walk cycle videos have links to various conservation agencies dedicated to prolonging the survival and hopefully empowering the redistribution of the species in which I'm presenting to you all as a manner of walking and working out and utilizing the energies of. So if you could share this video, I'm going to add it to the playlist of all the Quadrobics 101 lectures. And feel free to comment below any questions you have. This one was probably the most out there of the lectures, but I've got plenty more in store. But this one needed to be addressed just because there's a whole world of this that people ain't talking about or understanding or addressing or knowing, and they're allowing the guise of whatever modern psychological medicines just I don't want to say solidified, but desensitized us all to and just wrote off as another part of someone's unique mind, neuroatypicality, whatever. Either way, I love you. Don't think I don't like nobody for whatever community they're part of. If I see you walking like this, though, I'm gonna say something like I did last time. That ain't got nothing to do with you being Therian. It's got everything to do with you not knowing. And that's fine. We're all here to be told we're wrong and be better because of it, including me. So, I'll wrap this up. Subscribe if you ain't and you liking my videos. Comment below. Discuss things. Do what you do. Like, share, subscribe. I'm not used to bringing that up in the video, so sorry if I've said that like four times. Maybe more. But either way, next video we'll be covering health and wellness and the implications of a holistic program like Quadrobics and what it can do for people. I've had a slew of medical problems that just so happen to be helped quite effectively by just doing what I do. And I'd love to address that in the next video. So Preacher Man out. Later, taters.